Good morning, friends. Today we're going to talk about trellising tomatoes. And we have several different ways we are trellising this year, but I kind of wanted to show you the difference. For years, I tried, like everyone else, to use those little wire cages that you get from the tractor supply places or the dollar store, wherever, but they're so frustrating. They bend. Really, they're only good for 1 year. They rust. They're hard to use. And in my opinion, the only thing they're good for is maybe something like a pepper. So I went for a few years of not trellising at all because, frankly, I just didn't want to deal with it. And honestly, you do get you're more susceptible to disease if you're not holding those leaves up off the ground. And it is better practice to go ahead and trellis. So we've got, really 3 different ways we're trying this year. And I can already tell you that Hubs is sold on one over the others. So this is our new trellis that we got. It's powder coated. It's shaped like a triangle. See how you go in here and it comes around like this, and you just push it into the ground. I'm already loving it. So we're keeping those leaves up off the ground to keep from getting any kind of a water splash and prevent fungus and disease from our tomato plants. So as they grow, you just kind of you might end up even having to clip them onto these, but that's okay. I'd rather clip it on and then just cut a zip tie later than mess with what I was dealing with before. So the other way we're using is I put in these 2 fence posts, and Hubs helped me put in a cattle panel. So basically we cut a cattle panel in half, and we did 1 on this bed and 1 on this bed just to give it a try. These are our Champagne Bubbles tomatoes, and they're not quite at a point where I'm comfortable in pruning off the bottom leaves. I know a lot of people would have already pruned them by now. I'm just really careful when I water. So what'll happen, these are going to be, so there's 2 kinds of tomatoes. There's determinate and indeterminate. And how I tell Hubs to know the difference in them is, if you think about it, determinate means you're determined for a certain period. So determinate have a certain height that they get, and they don't go all wild. Indeterminate, you just can't determine how high and crazy they're going to be, and that's the difference. So usually your cherry tomatoes and your smaller tomatoes are going to be indeterminate, so they're going to go wild and bushy and crazy, which is what these are. So we went with the cattle panel on these, and we will clip these up as they go, and hopefully this particular tomato was a struggle for us last year. I had started a whole pack of seeds. Chipmunks got in the high tunnel and ate all of them but 3 plants. So I saved some seeds from those 3 plants when I could get them away from my husband, and we have 8 plants this year. So the goal is to be able to save even more, because if you dry these and eat these kind of like a raisin on a salad, it just adds a different kind of flavor to it. So those are going to be on the cattle panel trellis. So cost-wise, 2 cattle panel trellises are the same price 1 cattle panel trellis, if you use it for the 2 beds, is the same price as 6 of the green stakes that we're using. And those are from Grower Solution. I'm not affiliated with them. I just, I love those. And as a matter of fact, I ordered 15 of them. These tomatoes we just did this morning. We just trellised them up, so they're a little limp, and they'll come back here in a little bit. But they're powder coated. They're not going to rust. They're easier to use. They just poke right in the ground. I didn't order that many because I didn't know. Hubs is a machine fabricator. He's a welder. He does a lot with metal. So I wanted to make sure they met with his approval before I ordered too many of them. But after we installed these this morning, he told me to go ahead and order however many I wanted. So you have that. And then the other method, which is really not a method, is we have these Tennessee tomatoes coming up in here with our beans. Tennessee just means they're volunteers because Tennessee is the volunteer state. And we are just gonna trellis those up. I hate having them in with the beans, but we do have some down there that are coming up, and we're just gonna trellis them to that one depending on what comes up. So that's the different. And then of course we're going to have, obviously we're not going to be able to afford enough trellises for everybody, so we're just going to let some guys go, like the ones Macedonian neighbor gave us. We don't know what kind they are. We don't know if they're determinate. We don't know if they're indeterminate. We don't even know if they're a kind of tomato we like. So I would imagine they're probably like a San Marzano, judging from the leaves, but I don't know. And so if somebody's going to be the sacrificial lamb, it's going to be them. I know that's kind of rude, but that is what it is. So that's what we're doing with trellising tomatoes this year. If you're doing something different you think I should try before I pop on and order more of these things, let me know, because I gotta tell you, I'm loving at least the installation on these, and it looks like taking them out is going to be a dream compared to the other cages. I've seen where Joe Lample from, he's got a television show. Anyway, he makes square ones out of cattle panels, and to me that's just, it looks like it's a pain at the end of the year, and then there's the whole storage issue. So with these guys just fitting right inside each other, it's not going to take up a lot of space in my garden barn, which I'm slowly running out of room on, because now everything, my husband has found a way for all kinds of things to be considered gardening and end up in my gardening barn, so we can get them out of his big barn. It's called being a barn hog. So let me know your thoughts, or if there's something else you're doing that you think I should try. I'm going to get off here because we have grandkids coming any minute, and I want to make sure that we've got pumpkins ready for them to plant. So until next time, be blessed, be a blessing. If you like my videos, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe.